Hey friends, in this video, we are going to be talking about problem and solution. And so we're going to be looking at a problem and solution in our big literature book for this week, Bringing Down the Moon. Now, this story is a fantasy, and a fantasy is a made-up story. And they have made up characters and made up events, and some things that happen in a fantasy story could never happen in real life, like animals talking, for example. And so as we read this story, we're going to think about what problems that show up in this story and how they find a solution, how they solve their problem. So this story is called Bringing Down the Moon, and it is by Jonathan Emmett. He is the author, and it is illustrated by Vanessa Caban. Hot diggity! Exclaimed Mole as he burrowed out of the ground one night. Whatever's that? The moon was hanging in the sky above him like a bright silver coin. Mole thought that it was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Whatever it is, I must have it, Mole said to himself. I know, I'll jump up and down. Thump, thump, thumpity, bump. Mole was so busy jumping, he didn't even think about the noise he was making, and he woke up Rabbit in her burrow. So right now, on these 2 pages, what is the setting of the story? Where is it taking place? It's outside in a field at night. And we know it's at night because the sky is dark and our friend Mole really wants the moon. Mole, said Rabbit, what on earth do you think you're doing? Hello, Rabbit, said Mole. I'm trying to pull down that shiny thing. You mean the moon? Asked Rabbit. So that's what it's called, said Mole. You'll never do that, said Rabbit. It's not as close as it looks. So what is Mole's problem in the story right now? What does Mole want that is a problem for him? He wants to grab the moon for himself. How is Mole trying to solve his problem? How is he trying to solve his problem? What is he doing? He is jumping up and down. Is that solving his problem? Is jumping up and down letting him grab the moon for himself? No, it is not. But Mole would not give up. I know, he thought. I'll get a stick and poke it down. He found a long stick and poked it up at the moon. Swish, swish, swishity swish. Mole was so busy poking that he tripped over a hedgehog in his bed of leaves. I read that Mole is using a stick to try to poke down the moon, and it doesn't work. I predict that Mole will try another way to get the moon down. I'm going to read on to see if I'm right. Mole, grunted Hedgehog, what are you up to? Hello, Hedgehog, said Mole. I'm trying to poke down the moon. You'll never do that, said Hedgehog. It's not as close as it looks. Now Mole has met two different animals, Rabbit and Hedgehog. Do you predict that he will meet another animal in this story? What do you think? Let's read on and see if you are right. But Mole would not give up. I know, he thought. I'll throw something at it and knock it down. He found some acorns and threw them at the moon. Plink, plink, plinkety, plink. Ouch, said Squirrel. Mole, have you gone nuts? Hello, Squirrel, said Mole. I'm trying to knock down the moon. You'll never do that, said Squirrel. It's not as close as it looks. So why does Mole throw acorns in the sky? Why is he throwing acorns? He wants to knock down the moon. But does that work? Is he throwing acorns at the moon? Does that knock the moon down? No, it does not. So I wonder what Mole is going to try next. For all of my friends who made a prediction that Mole would meet another animal, kiss your hardworking brains, because your prediction is correct. He met Squirrel. I wonder if he's going to meet any more animals. But Mole wanted the moon so badly, he would not give up. I know, he thought. I'll climb a tree and carry it down. Mole had never climbed a tree before. It was hard work, and he was scared to be so far from the ground. But he kept on going until he saw the moon resting in the leaves above him. So I remember in the beginning of this story that Mole had a problem that he was trying to solve. What was his problem? What was his problem? He can't get the moon from the sky. So how is he trying to solve his problem? How is he trying to get the moon down? We can see that he climbs a tree to get it. Do you predict that he will be able to grab the moon and bring it back down? What are your predictions? Let's read on to see if your predictions are correct. Mole stretched out his paws, but just when he thought he had the moon, he slipped. Ooh, ee, ouch, ooh. Mole tumbled down and landed splash in the middle of a puddle. Hot diggity drat, thought Mole. I almost had it that time. Then he noticed something floating in the puddle beside him. It was pale and wrinkled, but Mole recognized it at once. The moon, whispered Mole. It must have fallen down with me. He reached out to pick up the moon, but as soon as he touched it, it broke into pieces and vanished. Mole sat in the puddle and cried. Rabbit, Hedgehog, and Squirrel came running up. Are you all right, Mole? Asked Rabbit. I'm all right, sobbed Mole. But the moon isn't. I pulled it down and then I broke it. And it was so beautiful. And now I'll never see it again. Oh, Mole, said Rabbit, you couldn't have pulled the moon down. And you couldn't have broken it, said Hedgehog. And you'll certainly see it again, said Squirrel. Look! High up in the sky above them, the moon was coming out from behind a cloud. Oh, whispered Mole, and it's just as beautiful as ever. So, Mole's problem was that he couldn't get the moon down. Did he ever find a solution to his problem? Was he ever able to get the moon down? No, he was not. Why wasn't he able to get the moon down? The moon was too far away. So I wonder what Mole is going to do next. I wonder. Mole, Rabbit, Hedgehog, and Squirrel stood and stared up at the moon together. It is beautiful, said Rabbit. Very beautiful, said Hedgehog. Very beautiful indeed, said Squirrel. Yes, said Mole, but it's not as close as it looks. So the animals are all excited to look at the moon in the sky. I will make a prediction that Mole will stop trying to get the moon down now. I'm going to keep reading to see if my prediction is correct. So at the end of the story, there are no words on this picture. There are no words on this page. But if we look at the picture, how does Mole decide to solve his problem in the end? What does Mole decide to do now that he realizes he can't pull the moon down? Well, since he realizes he can't pull the moon down, he decides to sit up and look at the moon and enjoy basking in the glow of the moon. And so when we talk about a problem and a solution in a story, one way we can organize our thoughts is by using a graphic organizer. And I'm going to show you guys what my graphic organizer looks like that I made based on this story. So let's start off on page 6. What was Mole's problem? What was Mole's problem again in this story? He couldn't get the moon down. He wanted to pull the moon down for himself. And so on our graphic organizer, the first thing I have a box that has problem in it, and then it says that Mole wanted to pull the moon down. Now, my next question is, what were some of the things that Mole tried to do to solve his problem? What did he try to do when he realized he wanted to pull the moon down? What was the first thing? He tried jumping at the moon. What else did Mole try to do? What else did he try to do? On this page, he was throwing acorns at the moon. But did that solve his problem? Did that knock the moon down so he could take it for himself? No. So then, what else did he try to do? Well, we know that he tried to pull a stick out. He tried to poke it down. He tried to do so many different things. But did that solve his problem? Was he able to knock down the moon? No, he was not able to knock down the moon at all. And so His first problem was that he wanted to pull down the moon. And then his second problem, his steps towards his solution, how he tried to solve his problem, was that Mole, he jumped, he used a stick, and he threw acorns. But as we just realized, and by reading the story, he was not able to pull the moon down. So what happens at the end of the story? What does Mole decide to do at the very end of the story? Mole decides to enjoy the moon where it was. He decides to just sit and watch and look up at the moon. I'm going to leave this up here if you guys want to copy this down.